This year's coverage of the 2023 Premium Cigar Association Trade Show was produced by Tobacco Talk Media.
What's going on, everybody? Cigar Show Tim here with Tobacco Talk Media, and sitting here with John Huber of Crowned Heads. John, day one, what are we expecting from the show?
9 hours of this, basically. It's just starting, so yeah, man. That's as much as I know. I just got in here yesterday, so I just came in, had a meeting, went to bed, that kind of thing. So I'm just now kind of it's my first cigar in a couple of days, so I'm enjoying that. But
nice.
How about you?
I'm
ready for this?
Well, yeah, it's going to be a busy show. I was here last year for it, and there is a lot of new stuff coming out this year compared to last year. It seems like everybody's just got a ton of stuff to put out.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about what you guys are putting out and what you've done and some new stuff. You've released a new core line. Tell me about it. And you're smoking it right now.
Yes, La Vereda. It's our first regular production brand with Ernesto Perez Carrillo and Tabacalera La Alianza since...
Can't go wrong with EP.
No. Since Capa Especial in 20, I think it was, the COVID year. So we've been working on this. I've been working really diligently with Ernie since about March of 22.
Okay.
On this specific blend, and it's kind of had an evolution over the last 18 months, what have you. But I'm really happy with where we landed with it. It's a beautiful cigar. It's what we're really trying to stress here at the show is the age of the tobaccos, how the tobaccos really dictated this cigar. Like, we didn't just throw something together, pick A, B, or C. In fact, to the contrary, it started off with a whole different wrapper, a whole different filler binder combination, and then eventually, I thought, by November of last year, I was like, this is it, we're good, right? And then Ernie calls me up and he's like, no, we're starting all over again. We're starting from, and so, he's gotten that way where he's very meticulous about a lot of things. And but when you have 2 Cigar of the Years and a runner-up,
you're gonna listen.
You listen, right? So even the packaging went through 3 different real, not just oh, here's a few ideas. It was soup to nuts. We finished it. I'm like, looks great. Nah, I don't like it. I've never really done that with Ernie over the years. We've been working together for 12 years now. Okay. And I've never really run packaging by him to get his input. I've always just kind of taken that and gone with it.
Well, you've always had your own creative. You've got your own unique fingerprint when it comes to your branding and your creativity and what you do. Obviously, with the new one, the L and the V, coming together to make the V.
The lockup.
So
I love that. Cool. Yeah. Now, we took a lot of inspiration for the brand as far as the look and the feel from outside of the cigar industry. I didn't want it to look like everything from, I didn't want the Vista and the gold coins on the side. And so when I got with my graphic designer, I was like, okay, let's look at Patek Philippe, let's look at Cartier, let's look at Gucci, let's look at Louis Vuitton, let's look at these brands that are just iconic. And why do they look iconic, you know? And so we wanted to kind of inject it with some modern, contemporary luxury vibes to it, because the cigar is difficult to make. There's no question about it. I mean, the wrapper itself is a shade-grown Nicaraguan wrapper from Jalapa, 4 years of age minimum before Ernie will even touch it. Binder is also Jalapa. The filler components are basically 3-year-old minimum you've got a mix of Nicaraguan and Dominican primarily. Okay. So it's really the tobaccos and the investment in the tobaccos have really kind of dictated this project. So, so I'm really focusing on that. I mean, a lot of people are going to ask me what does the name mean, and where's the inspiration in the name, and what band did you take this from? And I'm I'm trying to steer away from that. So let's talk about, let's not talk about the color of the paint job. Let's talk about what's under the hood.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this is the new core line that you've announced, but you've also got some new stuff that's come out. You've got a fresh pack now where you've done a new format or line extension, if you will, for the Juarez.
Correct.
So what was the thought? Because I mean, the Juarez is just a staple, everyday, budget-friendly cigar
100%.
That everybody loves. So what was the idea behind doing a new format? Was it just to come out with a new one and see what people think of it, or was it to offer just another option in formats?
Our national sales manager, Miguel Sordell, you know Miguel.
Oh yeah.
He's been on me to do a fresh pack for a long time. Yeah. Right? And I just never really gotten it. I didn't know where to get it. I didn't know I didn't know anything about it. So I started to think about what we could do to inject some life into the Juarez brand again, because it is a great value prop.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is. I mean, we continually kind of hold back the pricing on that for that specific customer.
Yep.
So you've got something in that lane. So then when I got together with Sammy Phillips, who said, yeah, I can get you fresh packs. I'm like, oh, really? I had this idea of doing, it's just like what you see there, like see the bulls like all kind of.
Oh, it all.
Yeah. So it's
stair
like
steps its way down.
it stair steps its way down, and then this gives people an opportunity to try each of the 4 existing sizes. And then, by the way, here's a bonus: we're going to do this little short fatty called Ferdinand, Ferdinand the Bull,
Right.
and that will be part of the mix. And it's a nice 5-pack.
Yep.
And then obviously not obviously. I start to age myself because I'm like, good to know what Bulls on Parade is, right? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, Rage Against the Machine. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
So I've kind of aged myself out of that demo. But there's a band from like the 90s and the 2000s called
absolutely.
Rage Against the Machine. And Bulls on Parade's a great song. And so I just thought it made sense. It was like, Bulls on Parade, fresh pack, boom. So,
Very cool.
But that's a definite value prop. That's going to suggested retail of $29.95.
Which is just insane for 5 cigars.
It is. 5 cigars of that quality.
Absolutely.
And then the little Ferdinand is a 4x58. So it's a nice little fat, short, quick smoke. So we'll see how it does.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I can also see over there you've got a new format, new size for the Le PCA.
Yes.
I know that this was one that I saw Miguel interviewed recently, and he was already thinking he wanted something. I think it was this one in a different size, and you were already working on the project. Was it the Le PCA one?
No, that was Topes. That was Mil Diaz.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Mil Diaz.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about 4 or 5 months ago, we started to talk about the show. Like, what are we going to have new for the show? And we had nothing. We had La Vereda obviously in the works. But then we said, well, okay, we don't want to flood the market with La Vereda, so we're going to be smart about how we organically grow the distribution.
Yep.
So we're not going to have much at the show. I'm like, well, let me start thinking. So I started coming up with Bulls on Parade. I said, oh, we're due for an extension on Mil Diaz because we haven't done anything with that since 2020. So I started to think about this size, and I was like looking at the existing range, and I came up with this Tope size, and Miguel said, oh, ironically, I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, oh, no shit.
That's funny.
So so Topes is a 4 7/8 by 56. It's a Cuban Trinidad size called Topes. Little pigtail on the head. It's a great looking little cigar. And then when I was working on that one with Aradio Pichardo, he was explaining to me that blend in particular does very well in a larger ring gauge, but in a shorter length.
Interesting.
And when I started getting the samples, I'm like, fuck yeah, it really opens up, and it's rich and it's creamy. It's got floral notes to it. It's my favorite size now. I'm not a big ring gauge guy, but that 4 7/8 56 Topes really hits home for me.
I'm looking forward to checking it out because I'm not a large ring gauge guy either. In fact, my favorite Vitola in the Mil Diaz line is the Movedra. I absolutely love that one. I have one left in my humidor at home.
You got one more than I do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm holding on to it. But so yeah, that's the Mil Diaz. But Le PCA, in terms of that one, just coming out with a new line, because when we were here last year is when you released it, and it went out broad to everybody. What's the response been like? Obviously, coming out with another format, it must be doing well.
You know what? To be perfectly honest, it's not as doing as well as I want it to be, or I think it could be.
Sure.
I think there was a little bit of confusion when we released it last year. It was coming out of Tabacalera Pichardo. But behind the scenes, unbeknownst to everybody at the show last year, I had already made a decision to move the brand to Naxa with Gustavo Cura and Raul Disla, because they just, for a lot of reasons, but one of which, that broadleaf selection that they get is, I mean, you look at Steve Saka's broadleaf stuff that comes out of Naxa, is fantastic, right?
Yep.
So we had already started to take steps towards doing that. So when we released it, it was like, okay, we started shipping it, and then we're like, no, we're changing it, so there's that awkward kind of dance initially. But the stuff that's been coming out of Naxa since the beginning of this year has just been like phenomenal. I keep telling the guys, like, just give it to people, let them smoke it. It's fantastic. And so the number 2 is just, we wanted to do something for the show for PCA, another PCA exclusive, and it just made sense. I don't do a lot of figurados. I don't do at all. So this was unique. It was different. I changed the colorway on the packaging and said PCA exclusive, just to give a little shot, a little promo there for the PCA. So yeah, we got that too, and it's smoking beautifully. Knox has been a fantastic partner to have.
I bet.
They really have. I mean, they're so buttoned up there. It's so on point. Everybody from Gustavo to Raul to Ninoska, Joe, all these guys, they're fantastic. So
Very cool.
and then Mule Kick 23 we're releasing here.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, that's interesting because unlike the other renditions of Mule Kick, they've always been the same blend, different wrapper.
Right.
This year, the blend is different. The wrapper's different, but the blend has been changed.
Everything's been done. Yeah.
So it was a Nicaraguan puro with the exception of the wrapper, but now the binder is Dominican and there's some Dominican in the filler as well. And that wasn't like I thought about like, hey, let's change it. It was going through the validation of the blends, and then Ernie said, I got one more for you to check out. So, okay. Smile. Fuck, what the hell is this? You like it? Yeah. Okay, let's use that. I'm like, all right. And I just assumed that but he fucked with it, and I said, so what's the final blend? Now you're going to tell me after I've selected it? Oh yeah, bro, it's Dominican binder, and there's some Piloto Cubano in the filler. I'm like, oh, fuck. All right, it's a great cigar. So,
Yep.
That's pretty much it. And then of course Tim Osgener at OFC, he's got new Pais Anastasia out. That's also coming from Ernesto.
Yep.
It's a real hitter. That's fantastic.
And his Aramis, I just reviewed that.
Aramis. What'd you think of it?
Cigar.
You like it?
Phenomenal cigar. Yes.
Great.
Really enjoyed it. I liked the Bosphorus a lot.
Yeah.
And then the Pais Anastasia was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I like the Amorous more than the Pais Anastasia.
See, I liked the Bosphorus, the little 450. That was like my go-to in the morning with coffee when I get to the office. For a long time, I was just like, this is so good, so good, so good. And then I haven't really smoked a lot of the Aramis, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, it just we debuted it at the TAA at the end of March, beginning of April. So it really hasn't gotten that critical mass yet.
Right.
And so we're still kind of getting it out there, and the show will be good for it too. So
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
very cool.
Awesome.
I appreciate your time, brother.
Man, thank
Sitting
you.
down, talking with me, sharing
It
everything.
was an easy convo to start my morning. Thank you very
Perfect.
much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, from PCA 2023, I'm Cigar Show Tim with Tobacco Talk Media. Got more content coming your way.
This year's coverage of the 2023 Premium Cigar Association Trade Show was produced by Tobacco Talk Media.